Do not adjust your radio dial. You are tuned in to the Mark Order Podcast. Join the Mark Order.
It's Wednesday night. You know what that means. It's the Mark Order Podcast. All three of us in the same place again. That's wild. Hi, Taylor. Hi, Big G. Hello, my wonderful co-hosts here on the Mark Order Podcast. Before we dig in, we're going to ask you to leave a thumbs up on this video. It helps people find us in the algorithm as the little show that could over here. Hi, Tim McFowle. You got to see your boy today. Good stuff happening. Good stuff happening on the screen. Good stuff on the way to Australia. Hello, Trey. We got Grand Slam coming up, which is just a glorified collision, as we know, but lots to talk about. Some good developments on this particular episode of Dynamite. I thought another one in the right direction. I felt like last week we kind of slid back. It was like, if you liked post-match brawls, that was it for you. But if you like anything else happening, this episode, I think, was the stronger one. But we're going to get into all of that and more. Nice to see the tag division heating up a lot as well. That makes me very, very excited. But fellas, how we doing? Joe, you've got this. Let's go. Pack light going on in the back. Go, Pack, go. They're not going anywhere this Sunday, which unfortunately Ryan's team is. But how you doing? Looking good over there. Looking fresh.
Ryan's team's going somewhere. They can go fuck themselves.
Well, hey now. It's so funny. So many people are like, it's like the South Park of the giant douche versus the turd sandwich, because people are just sick of seeing the Chiefs win. And I hate that I don't hate this group with the Eagles. Like, they're a pretty likable group of guys, which is so annoying because they're the Eagles. Like, the Eagles. Oh, fly, Eagles, fly. Get it? Because they're birds, so they fly. That's our whole chant. We also spell their name like every other team. Go
There's
Eagles.
only two teams that do that.
Jets, Jets.
And the Eagles.
Gross. Look at both of you. Both of you
I'm
take a
sorry
look
we
in
don't
the
have a
mirror.
towel that we wipe ourselves off with after a shower.
That's a very reasonable thing to do.
Use a
Ryan.
towel to support sports? No, it's not.
I am as disappointed with that as I am that your chair now functions. That's very upsetting.
Mhm.
I miss the randomly would fall down chair, as we all do, I think. But how you doing over there? Headed to the Super Bowl, not you personally, but how is things in Ryan's world?
Yeah, I'd have no interest in going to the Super Bowl, to be quite honest. Spending that kind of money just isn't on my to-do list. But I'm doing well, but I have to ask us the important question of the day. Should Kylie get their nose pierced?
Like, there's 6 months left to humanity fast right now. Why not? Go for it. Not feeling great about the state of the world at this moment. Do whatever. You know what I say, Kylie? If you want to, this is all the time. I say do whatever the fuck you want. That's what I say. Because YOLO. And with something, especially a piercing, like instead of a tattoo, like if you don't like it, you can just let it close up. So there's really no harm in something like that. Tattoos require a little bit more thought.
Can I vote for Ryan to get his nose pierced?
Yeah, absolutely. He needs like the Chicago Bulls logo one though. He needs the little septum piercing deal.
I can honestly say never going to happen.
It's not a tattoo. It's not permanent.
Doesn't matter. There's just some things I can and can't pull off, and that is one that I cannot pull off.
That's the glory of it, though.
Not with that attitude. You got to be confident.
Well, if I were writing a history blog, I would just pretend that happened and make stuff up, just like Ryan does on Here for History. He's got a new post up over there, but
Look at you.
Good stuff going on. I snuck that little segue in there. I'm in a good mood today. I got to raise it Fightful. I'm feeling good about life. So things are good. I'm in a good mood. We had a good Dynamite. Hi, Scott George. We got Kylie in the chat. How could I not be in a good mood? We got Matthew Hooks hanging around. Good shit tonight. Good shit. But fellas, this was really all like Royal Rumble weekend. There was not a ton to talk about on the AEW side. So we're going to keep this front part of the show kind of on the lighter end, and we'll dig into the Dynamite episode pretty quickly after the commercial break. But some exciting news for me. I love Roosh, so I was very glad that he's back on TV. There was some rumors that this is the second time now, so that's not great, that like Richard Holiday got injured in a match on the Indies, and he was still just kind of like going too far with him, despite the fact that he is injured. So that's never great. But one thing we know about Roosh is like the magic in him is also the danger in him, and that he beats the ever loving dog shit out of people. Makes him really, really fun. Makes him really, really fun to watch. But not a ton of news other than that. If you guys want to talk about Royal Rumble, we certainly can do that too. They went with the upset win choice over there, but kind of a quieter week on AEW side. We are building to Grand Slam though, obviously, and we do have Revolution kind of around the corner, so I'm sure.
Don't forget Dynasty,
bro. Lots going on, but any thoughts on anything AEW this week post when we were on air? Any thoughts on Collision? I'm just excited that Roosh is back.
Did you at all have any FOMO from not being on the Jericho cruise?
Never again will I miss it. Every post that here's what really gets me, okay? The year I decide not to go, Nigel McGuinness is on it. MXM is on it. Will Ospreay is on it, who was on it 2 years ago and I was on with. But the thing with Will Ospreay, or 3 years ago? I don't think Ryan was there that year. So I think 3 cruises ago, I want to say. Here's the thing. Nobody on the entire boat has more fun than Will Ospreay. Not a single soul. It's impossible. That guy, the year I went at least, he was drunk. He's hanging out by the pool. He's doing flips. Like everybody starts their own little flippy-do contest. He just comes in and ends it because he can do a 690, whatever the fuck he wants. Like, it doesn't matter. Pizza. He's like, where'd you get that pizza? This was before I was vegan. I was like, right up there. He's like, I'm getting pizza and fries. Bruv, went up, got his little pizza and fries. My friend ran into him. She had no idea anything about wrestling. She was just like, I want to go to the Bahamas and I want to swim with the little pigs on the beach, take a little 5-day vacation. She was in love with him by the end of the night. It was, nobody has more fun than that guy. It looks like he had some sort of walk-off, some sort of strut going on very early in this cruise. I was FOMO all over the place, and so many of my favorite dudes went. I was so bummed. And gals, I would have loved to have seen this version of Tony Storm on that boat. I can't imagine was anything less than completely hilarious. But Ryan and I had talked. I texted him and was like, bro, the amount of cruise FOMO I have. But you had similar feelings and thoughts, right? We'll never make that mistake again.
and I quoted a text exchange. The first text is me. The second text is Kate. Tell these fucking wrestlers to stop posting cruise content. Kate, I'm blocking them all. That's how we felt.
Oh man,
it looked fun. I would have rather been there. I have very big FOMO.
Yeah, and the next one is in November of 2026, which I think is smart for a few reasons. One, it interrupts their build to things now. Like their pay-per-view schedule is too stacked. They're going to do November 7th through the 11th of 2026, which is also nice because there's more time to save money. But I was particularly missing it because this time of year is such a great time to get away for a 5-day vacation to anywhere, especially like they went to the Dominican Republic this year, I think. So I was also just like in the doldrums of the end of January into early February. I was like, I would love to be on a wrestling cruise, and I would also love to be in a tropical paradise that is not this weather currently and the gray of it all. Joe, will you join us in 2026? Will you join a Jericho cruise, or are you not a cruise/boat guy? Or do you hate wrestling?
One of those things might be true. I've never done a cruise, so
Never done a cruise. Ryan's first cruise was the wrestling cruise.
I'm open to it.
Okay. We'll see how it goes. We've got like till November 2026 to decide. So I think it is genuinely, if you're watching this and you're on the fence, it is a blast. Like, it is crazy how much fun it is, because it's an extremely silly house show, I think is what we kept saying, Ryan, of like, the actual wrestling is purely there to be extremely silly. And it's also just very fun to be on a boat in the Caribbean air. You can watch from sitting inside a hot tub if you want, or the pool, and you're like watching matches, the concerts. We were disappointed last year because they had less like, they were having all these like really fun podcasts and like sessions with interviews and stuff of really interesting guests. Like, Ryan and I had both said, like, we didn't know that Dan Lambert was like a huge belt guy. And we were hearing him and Eddie Kingston talk about the wrestling belts that Dan Lambert had, and he had them on display in the lobby and stuff. Like, some of that stuff ended up being like the most interesting things to do. But it really is. It's a great time. I like joke around about it or whatever, but it's a really fun experience as a fan. You also don't get like the weirdos that are at shows where it costs $10 to go because you have to pay for a cruise. So it's like, there really weren't. There was like one drunk guy at karaoke one night who was kind of an asshole, but there's really not like, there's like some quality control because you have to pay a bunch. Like, it helps. It felt like a safe environment, which is something I think about as a gal.
Cruise is a good time anyway. You get to relax, you get to eat a ton. You don't have to really do anything if you don't want to. So it's a cruise with entertainment that you love. So like, it's a lot of cruises, they have comedians and all, but like if you see the comedian once, you're done, or then you're lucky if you find another source of entertainment. This, every night you have wrestling, and you can go to the comedy show every different night, and it's different because they tell different jokes. And then I was really upset we missed the RJ City show this year because I saw the cast. I was like, God damn it.
Yeah, the RJ City show was a blast. A blast. They should probably stop sailing Royal Rumble weekend. I think going in November will help that too. But some more people in the chat. Eric Freeds, Greg Cherry, Maria. We see y'all over there. But it's a good time. Greg saying that my wife and I love cruises, but I don't think I could convince her for a wrestling cruise. There were a lot of non-wrestling fans that I feel like, I guess, because you can also just opt to not go to the wrestling parts whenever you want. So it's like the vibe's pretty easygoing. But we'll stop being a commercial for the Jericho cruise now and get into some AEW Dynamite. But Joe, you're a couple weeks older and wiser now. How you feeling? How do you feel about this Dynamite? How do you feel about your perspective on life in general? Do you feel like just a giant walking inspirational quote now that you're so much wiser than us?
You know, I've had some time to reflect on things and on life as I've gotten a year older, and time really starts to slow down for you, and you have time to reflect. And I haven't gotten any wiser. I've come to accept that. I think that's the point of what I've learned most, is accepting where you're at.
I love that. There's wisdom in not being wiser. You're like, I've maxed out my potential wisdom for the time being, and that's fine.
I'm glad that Dynamite isn't necessarily selling. Like you said, like last week was kind of an okay show. This one's a lot better. I felt the pacing was better. It moved along pretty fast for me when I was watching it. So. And yeah, we only had one Death Rider segment, and they got it out of the way right away.
It's so sad that's. I looked at this card too and said, man, like after the show, I was like, this was the weakest thing on the show again, which is such a bummer. But Ryan,
well, we
know you're
the highlight of the night.
Fair. We'll get into all of it, but we know you're not getting any wiser over there, no matter what. So you're just rewriting history.
I've started sitting in chairs, backwards. Like when I go to lecture kids, I'm like, hey, I'm cool.
Hey,
Let me tell you
man.
what's up.
I mean, you have a backwards hat on already.
It's
Yeah,
true.
I gotta be cool.
You just
Yeah.
need the leather jacket. You're
I
all
come
set.
in and I'm, God, that's one of those things, again, I can't pull off. But I enjoyed tonight's Dynamite. I thought, like Joe said, it was good. The pacing was good. When one piece of AEW news that I guess we can discuss is that Megan Bayne officially got the graphic.
Yes, she did. That's a good call. She officially got the graphic. Fightful Selected already reported it, so I just scooted right over because we were already.
Yeah, but
but
they didn't report she was
legitimately,
getting the graphic.
she did get the graphic, and she did like officially properly debut too, which is great. She's going to be a big star there. I continue to be perplexed about Camille. I wonder if Megan slides in with Mercedes at some point, or if she just takes over independently of that picture entirely. But I think a lot of fun to be had with that for sure, because she just exudes star quality.
She really does. She's got that, like you said, Camille's a good comparison because she's got that size. So like you need that in the division. I think you need a few of those. So I was very happy to see her officially get the graphic. And like you said, Roosh is back, and that puts the whole LFI back together. Because you had Drilistico with them. So that's a group that we've been missing, that hopefully maybe you could do something with the trios or something. Because
yeah, the multi-man pictures are heating up. We're going to talk about the Hounds of Hell tonight and how much fun that match was, and a couple of other really great programs that are developing. But before we do that, we are going to head to our commercial break on the Shining Wizards Network. I was on the flagship show, and I would love to promote my appearance and tell you about all the fun that we had talking about Royal Rumble and the analysis that I shared. Skip everything I said. Go to the Dan Barry interview. You will fall off your chair laughing. He is so genuinely so hysterical. I love Dan so much. But he just, in stitches all of Monday night. But the Shining Wizards, not the only show on their network alongside us. That would be a very sparse network, in fact. But there are plenty of other shows on the Shining Wizards network that we are going to break and let them tell you all about right now.
We'd like to thank each and every one of you for tuning in every Monday night to listen to The Shining Wizards. If you'd like to continue to support us outside of listening, we've got a few ways for you to do that. If you shop at Amazon, go over to amazon.shiningwizards.com, do your shopping as usual, and when you make your purchase, a little bit of that purchase price will go back to support the show. If you like to wear t-shirts, merch.shiningwizards.com will take you to our Pro Wrestling Tees store, where we've got over a dozen great designs from over 11 years of professional wrestling podcasting. You can become a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/wizardspodcast, where each and every week we call out your name as one of our show producers, and the more you support us, the more things that you're entitled to receive, and believe me, they are fantastic. If you can't support us monetarily, if you don't shop at Amazon, that's absolutely fine. Continue to listen to us wherever you listen to us on the World Wide Web, and make sure you like, rate, review, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Doesn't cost you anything, helps us out, and we can continue to bring you the love fest that is The Shining Wizards.
What's up, folks? It's your boy, the Impact Player, Mr. Philly Ray, inviting all of you to check out the Turnbuckle Throwbacks Wrestling Podcast. Join us as we cover all things current in the world of pro wrestling, as well as paying homage to the old school, the Squared Circle. So listen in and find out why we are the recognized symbol of excellence in sports entertainment broadcasting. Find us on all social media platforms and anywhere you get your podcast from. And as always, we are the proudest members of the Shining Wizards Network and Rant Entertainment Media.
Are you tired of being lied to every day by the mainstream media?
Do you want to know what's really going on in the world?
Do you want to make up your own mind about things and not be told what to think or say?
Then listen to Inconclusive Breakdown, a weekly anti-PC look at the world of entertainment and current events, brought to you without censorship or filters.
You can find us everywhere you listen to podcasts, BitChute, and on ShiningWizardsNetwork.com.
And also, we're a proud member of the Shining Wizards Network.
Got 30 minutes to kill?
Come check out 30 Screams or Less, where we review a horror movie in 30 minutes or less. We cover new movies and old ones too.
We'll give our honest thoughts on the movie, good or shit, as well as a rating of each one that we watch.
New episodes weekly, available on the Shining Wizards Network and wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Corey.
Come check us out at 30 Screams or Less.
G'day guys, my name is Thomas, one half of the Broadcast Podcast. With our podcast, we go back and watch wrestling events from WWE, WWF, WCW, ECW, AEW, and many other wrestling promotions. You can check us out on Twitter at The Broadcast, that's TheBrokast, and you can also download all episodes on Apple Podcast, Castbox, Castro, and many other podcast apps.
If you like your music heavy, then check out Radioactive Metal on the Shining Wizards Network. For over 16 years now, Radioactive Metal has been one of the longest running podcasts. Over the years, we've interviewed some legendary metal acts, had some awesome discussions, and cranked a hell of a lot of tunes. So join your cool Uncle Snowy and his co-host Aaron for the audio mosh pit that is Radioactive Metal here on the Shining Wizards Network.
Well, the action is underway!
What's up, everyone? When on the Shining Wizards Network, be sure to check out Wrestling Night in Canada. If we're not recording another kick-ass podcast,
Or playing in punk bands.
Or recording kick-ass heavy metal albums,
then we're sitting back, we're grabbing a couple brews, and going over everything to do in the world of pro wrestling.
because we're from Winnipeg, you idiots.
The Mark Order Podcast is the only show you need if you're looking for dedicated coverage of everything AEW on the Shining Wizards Network. Join us live on YouTube every Wednesday night at 10:15 p.m. Eastern after Dynamite to chat along with the show. If you can't join us live, listen to us on your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on all social channels at Mark Order Pod and use the hashtag #JoinTheMarkOrder, because if you don't find us,
we will find you.
I'm Kevin Rowe.
I'm Al Day.
And we're a couple of down under pounders that co-host Rogue Day Dots, an action figure collecting podcast where we talk about, well, just about anything that tickles our fancy at any given moment.
We're grumpy old men, and sometimes people get on our nerves. And when you get on our nerves, guess what? You get off the lawn.
Get off my lawn, asshole! We also go on a little bit of a mission. We go back and we're grading every wrestling figure line that's out there. I'm talking LJNs. I'm talking Jacks. I'm talking Hasbros. Who doesn't like a little Hulkaplex? It's a Gorilla Brain wrestling podcast production found on the Shining Wizards Network.
I'm Duke Bags.
Kevin Rowe.
And together we are the co-hosts of Your Duke and Road. If you want to hear about some terrible wrestling shows, we got you covered.
Well, we talk about good ones, too.
We're currently talking about the death of WCW.
I know what we're fucking talking about. Sometimes we get guest spots, like from the Taskmaster. I like to listen to the Your Duke and Rope podcast. They're funny guys. I like when they talk about the Nards plows. I like Nards plows. That's a good move. And I like the Dungeon of Doom. You know, sometimes I call my butt the Dungeon of Doom. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, Oklahoma.
Let me tell you a little bit about my favorite wrestling podcast. All right. It's a podcast from two men, Duke Bags, Kevin Rowe. They talk about professional wrestling. It's a man's sport. All right? And who better to talk about a man's sport than Duke Bags? Oklahoma.
And once in a while, Vince Russo stops by.
Oh, you piece of shit! If you're not listening to the You're a Duke and Rope podcast in the back with the boys, you piece of shit, I don't know what you're doing. It's, you gotta slide one in there. If you're a man, you're talking about something only a man can do. You're talking about sliding one in there. Bro, take the time to slide one in there. All right, bro, you piece of shit, slide one in there. A Gorilla Brain Wrestling podcast production that you can find on the Shining Wizards Network.
Joe, guess what?
What?
Ryan pooped his pants.
Again?
Mm-hmm. That's why he's not here.
I thought you had fixed that problem.
You would think you could get control of it by now, but evidently that's not the case. What happened was he like saw the Hounds of Hell and he got so scared that he pooped his pants.
Well, I can understand that.
Yeah, it's pretty intimidating. He was also like very alarmed by this opening brawl because he saw that a piece of the tunnel broke off because we're starting to take the guys that deliver the Shatter Machine really dug into this brawl, but we'll give Ryan another minute or two. We can just talk so much shit about him. He makes it so easy, you know what I mean? We could just vamp. I really feel like we talked a lot about the Jericho Cruise.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you would like it. And I'm basing this solely off of your Joey Vegas pictures. I feel like it's a similar enough vibe.
Okay.
I feel like you would dig it. So I browbeat Ryan into going it took me 2 years, but that campaign will be kicking off shortly of like, let's get Joey Vegas as Joey Cruz, man. It's kind of hard because John Cruz is already like a
that. But in the meantime, I'll just start putting like $20 away like a week and just having a stockpile of money for the cruise.
They do have, I really do sound like a commercial, but they do have payment plans, which is very, very helpful. I've done that every year because I budget like a child. So it's it's very helpful. And because Ryan's so fancy and needs his own room all the time, forget about that. But yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time.
Without going too deep into Dynamite, I guess of the three options that they can go with to open the show, whether it's 1, a traditional wrestling match, 2, a backstage promo, or 3, an opening brawl, which do you prefer? I mean, you still prefer the mat and the wrestling to start the show, or I guess do they do the brawl thing too much now, or?
I always prefer wrestling match. I do like the opening brawl way more than I like talking because it's still at least action. But that should be like special. Like I feel like they saw how well it worked with Will and Kenny, and then they went back to this well too soon. But I do think they're very aware that this title program is not working. So I feel like this is their way of continuing it. And it at least gets them back to the roots of what the Death Riders were supposed to be. So I liked that aspect of it. I would like this a lot more if we hadn't just seen it a couple weeks ago. But they fucking brawled. We'll dig into it if Ryan's able to catch back up with us. He can, but let's talk on it. This opening brawl was a lot of fun. Pac got sent, I think, by Cash Wheeler. It was Pac, right? Into the side of one of the tunnels, and it broke off there. My goodness. This was like a well done brawl, I felt like. They came out from the back. The camera shots have gotten so much noticeably better over the past, like, basically since they got that extra money. It feels like since that deal went into effect, it feels like they said, we have budgeted some of that money for production because there's been a noticeable uptick in it. They're taking more risks on better shots and just like kind of more modern and fresh ones. But this was a fight to start it off between the Death Riders with Rated FTR behind them. But Renee was initially interviewing and caught up with Jay White, and Jay White says that there's no history between Cope and him, but there's a little bit of history with FTR, and this brawl just gets out of control pretty quick in a good way. There's a shatter machine by FTR on Pac. You got Claudio catching Cash just flying with this nasty looking uppercut that was so good in this. Cope catching the spear on Claudio, but Jon Moxley saving him. This was a good a good brawl to start us off. And then Cope has the mic. This was probably one of his better promos. They've seemed pretty fucking corny, honestly, since he's come back. But he says, Moxley, I don't know if you can hear it, but they're chanting one name. So what's your answer, Mox? Do you still have a set of nuts? And he wants the title Revolution. So not bad stuff there. Mox is at the barricade and says that he deserves nothing. So the answer is no. My God, you son of a bitch. And Switchblade says, how about I make you bleed your own blood? Very dodgeball style here. We're going to get a Brisbane brawl in Australia. But some good stuff. Some good stuff in this opening. We know where this is going. It does feel bad that we have to quote unquote get the world title picture stuff out of the way when it includes Jon Moxley, Claudio, Pac, Adam Copeland, and FTR, and Jay White. Like, that's way too much talent to be in an angle that's not working. But this was good. This was good stuff. We also get the main event getting set up here with Swerve and Ricochet. What did you think of our opening brawl and the chit chat that followed?
I think my favorite part about the opening brawl, and I think Pieces touched on it in the chat, is when they start brawling and Maria comes and like swoops Renee on her shoulder and takes her out of the picture. I thought it was fun because Maria is Jon Moxley's protector, and now she's out protecting Jon Moxley's wife. I
know, it's sweet.
A little balance, but
women looking after women. You love to see it.
Someone has to.
I would like for Marina to start having some fucking matches. I don't know about you, but I'm getting a little fatigued of her being only the plucky side piece in this.
Yeah, I thought they missed an opportunity there when they were having more fights with the younger talent in the locker room.
Sure.
The younger women come out and challenge. Like, you had the Willow, you had some other ones come out. But she could have wrestled some of those people. But this opportunity, now we just have a bunch of older guys wrestling each other to try to get the story moved along.
I do look forward to seeing Jay White and Jon Moxley in a one-on-one match in a brawl. That should be really, really, really fun. I just hope it doesn't get bloodlined, meaning I hope that Claudio and Pac don't interfere. Let the match be the match for sure. But we do get a replay of the collision bit with Buddy Matthews and Okada saying that he's no bitch, which he's unbelievably good with comedic timing. But more importantly, this leads into Will Ospreay finding out who he's facing tonight. A lot of names were thrown around over who is this outstanding member of the Callis family. It ends up being Mark Davis, which I think is an excellent call. A lot of people suspected it would be Trent because he had joined previously. We don't know his health status, but Mark Davis came back from injury, kind of disappeared, did a little bit of work in ROH, and now he's reemerged as a part of this angle, which I think is an exciting use for him. Hot crowd tonight. You sold out chance taking place right away, but Will Ospreay getting the win with the hidden blade. Nice to see Mark Davis back in action. Nice to see him and Kyle Fletcher still aligned on things, because I think if there's an eventual babyface turn down the line, they should be a tag team still. So I like them being on the same side of things. And I'm also just glad that friends are on the same side as things, Joe. We've seen so many people debating whose side they're on. Just be friends with the people you're friends with. I'm actually relieved we're kind of departing from that trope, but of course, this is a fun match. I feel like Ospreay's now taken over the role of, I have to do something that makes everybody think someone's going to die on this show because Darby Allin isn't around. We got some ridiculous stuff from Will Ospreay in here, but not a surprise there. He's just the best TV wrestler that there is, and Ryan has cleaned up his poopy pants, it seems, and has rejoined us. Ryan, we talked about the opening brawl, if you want to weigh in on that, and we also just got into this Ospreay and Mark Davis return and match.
Okay. First of all, I did not poop my pants.
Yes, you did.
No, I wish.
I can smell from here.
You wish you pooped your pants.
Well, maybe not, but it would be close to how dumb this was. So I'll tell my quick dumb story and then move on. We have our break, and most of the time during our break, I just sit and hang out. But I said to myself, even though I have my propel sitting right here, I said, self, I don't want some. I said propel. It's a propel.
Propel.
It's a propel bottle? A water
Yeah, it's a
propel?
Yeah. So I said to myself, self, I want some juice. And I have some Welch's mango juice downstairs. And
Some Robinson.
it's not Robinson, but I should try that. So I poured myself a glass of Welch's juice. It wasn't grape, so I don't know why I keep saying grape. Well, because I don't like the grape. They're mango juice. But I'm in a rush because we have commercials and I want to come back.
You're in a rush?
I'm in a rush.
You're in a Leo Rouge.
So I turn.
You knock everything over.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful.
Glass and all.
No! You had to sweep up glass bad?
It wasn't, but I looked for a long time to make sure
Yeah.
I didn't miss. There were pieces, but my real time spent. That's why. So I rushed back to Joe, bring us back because I got to make sure there's no glass on the floor because that will hurt if I forget that later.
It's a pretty good cover for pooping your pants, honestly, Joe. Don't you think?
Really elaborate and detailed.
It was.
I mean, I'm wearing the same pants that I had on when I left.
We don't know that.
We don't want to find out.
This is a shoulders up business, buddy. It's one of the things I take advantage of the most.
I feel like you would know if I pooped my pants.
We do, and you did. So, do you think we're going to be able to beat Joe into submission for going on the Jericho cruise? We talked about that while you were out a little bit. I said based on his Joey Vegas pictures, yes.
You pulled it off with me, so I'm not gonna.
Yeah. And Joe already does stuff. Half the battle is there.
Yeah,
Getting Ryan to leave the house was enough. So.
It really just. It's just gonna be a matter of convincing Joe that he will enjoy a cruise, which I think he will. I will also point out Jericho cruise is only 4 days, so if you don't like it, you're off in 4 days.
We should be both buddies.
There you go.
What buddies?
Both buddies.
Oh,
Boat bunk buddies.
Yeah.
Well, as we've learned, Ryan gets his own room. So
Big shot. Big shot. Well, Ryan, since you're back and you put on fresh pants, any thoughts on our opening brawl or the Mark Davis return and this match with Ospreay?
So opening brawl, the only thing I have to say, I'm sure you guys talked about it, was Marina picking up Renee. That is the highlight of the entire night.
Phenomenal
And
stuff.
Renee-
That and the fact that Cash Wheeler actually broke a piece of the tunnel when he threw
Yes.
back into it. I was like, oh shit.
Just and that Renee just went with it. I liked that. Like
she's amazing.
I also liked the one thing will say I liked about the brawl was even though it ended with the Death Riders retreating, it wasn't like they got their asses beat. Like it was an even thing.
Yeah.
And I kind of appreciate that, like at any given moment. And the third thing I'll say about the brawl is that they're clearly keeping Switchblade in the main event, and I'm very happy with that.
Yes, we got a Brisbane brawl happening, so hopefully it's just not booked into the ground. But any thoughts on the Mark Davis return? Were you surprised that he was the Callis family member? A lot of people were thinking it was going to be Trent. And your thoughts on the match that ensued?
So my question on the Mark Davis as the next Callis, the story they're telling, if I was listening to commentary correctly, was that Callis is basically forcing Mark Davis to do this, right?
Kind of felt that way.
Even though Mark Davis didn't really wrestle that way.
Correct. Don Callis
So that-
basically said he is hired to do this. I don't think it necessarily means that Mark Davis is fully resisting that.
Okay. I mean, there is a story. I saw someone put it online, and it's actually not a bad story that like Mark Davis kind of got lost in the Will Ospreay story. So you can kind of say like that annoyed him. Like, hey, I'm your buddy. I stayed by your side and you just abandoned me. As
yeah. I was saying to Joe, I'm kind of glad that we got away from the do I pick my friend or do I pick a different direction trope, but that one would certainly be more justified. But some fun stuff with Will Ospreay winning with the Hidden Blade here. Joe, your thoughts on the Mark Davis return and the match, and can you do the Aussie Open hand gesture?
Oh, it's been so long. Ryan, still crushing it.
Nailed it. Nailed it, Ryan. Crushing it.
Like you said, I liked Mark Davis being this person. I know we kind of speculated on who it was going to be, but having him be kind of intertwined now in this story, and the man in the middle between Ospreay and Fletcher played in well. Having his history with Ospreay worked well, and I like the mystery of where does his allegiance lie as far as when will he eventually break apart from the Callis family, because that's ultimately the story, I think.
And will he bring anybody with him? That's the other question. Like, I'm very intrigued to see whether we return to the tag team of Aussie Open or if Kyle Fletcher's just in such a different stratosphere now. Like, I don't know.
I was kind of wondering if they're going to have him do kind of a similar thing where he starts eating losses, kind of like they had Fletcher doing for a while.
Sure.
And had Callis really disappointed in him, and we'll kind of see the Fletcher leaving the family for a while. So I'm interested to see what happens with that, and if that will affect Kyle in any way. But otherwise, yeah, I thought Davis looked good. I loved some of his strikes he had when he worked over Ospreay's neck and head. So yeah, I thought he looked really strong, especially with that pile driver he had.
Yeah, there was some gnarly stuff in this. I like that it felt like it had more intensity than it maybe had a right to. And also the crowd was really good tonight. Like the "You Sold Out" chants, they were there for a lot of stuff tonight. And that was refreshing to see. Just like it was refreshing for Ryan to change his pantaloons after going.
I was thinking you were going to say the full pantaloons. I knew it.
Why wouldn't I say pantaloons? That's a good time. That is a good time. Guys, leave a thumbs up on this video. Thank you for chatting along with us as I pull up my notes back up here. Come on, little notes. My iPad is seeing. I'm at that point. You ever have like technology just gang up on you? Like it's not just my internet connection anymore. I feel like my phone and my computer are starting to like get shitty at the same time. I'm not digging it.
Been there.
It's the worst, but I have like insurance on everything because I know my luck with technology. But we had a good little match here, and then we moved on to the post-match where Kenny Omega comes out. See, this is why it's important to have your notes ready to go, because I almost completely forgot about this, and this was really good from Kenny, who came back here. Kenny's such an unreal in-ring phenom that sometimes you forget he's really fucking good on the mic. Like, he's very, very sincere in this. Kind of talks about restoring the feeling and says in 2019 through 2023, he was the feeling, and now he's back, and it's 2025. He says he's not here to do anything with Takeshita and Fletcher, but to prove that the future is here. And I love that he's kind of just cutting through Don Callis's bullshit to be like, no, this is gonna be a tag fight with who's better, and the future. I love him saying that the future is here, because it's like, it's literally here right now with Kenny. It's like the future is kind of present. And then Takeshita's the future. Fletcher's the future. Ospreay's the present future. Like, good stuff. Good stuff in all of this. I liked the post-match. Kenny comes across as very, very authentic. Joe, we'll start with you. What did you think of what we got from Kenny in this post-match thing? I liked this a lot better than a brawl after that everybody expected.
I really enjoyed Kenny's promo because it blends kind of the the talking points of what you want to try to get across, but also he has so many improv moments that he works into the promos as well, which I think goes a long way in making him feel more authentic overall. So when he talks about we can be here all night, I'm an EVP now, like I can, or when he reacts to all of his extra pyro that goes off for no apparent reason, I think
his catchphrase gets pyro. That's amazing to me.
So yeah, I think he's been adding a lot to this, and I'm looking forward to watching this tag team match between these two teams.
Yeah. I think this is one I think that everybody who's looking at that Grand Slam collision is looking forward to, because this is just four of the best. But Ryan, were you as high on this as Joe and I were for this Kenny promo? I feel like he's just such an easy talker with this stuff.
Easy like a Sunday morning. See, I'm glad I came back to sing. You guys are both silent. It means you really are just enraptured.
I was evaluating.
He is a very good talker. My thing is, sometimes Kenny has the talking cadence or verbal skills that sometimes there's a miss. Like some guys just never really miss. They don't hit as big, but they always hit. Kenny sometimes goes on a weird way and it feels like a miss to me, but this was great. The only problem I have is I'd rather be Aussie Open versus Kenny and Ospreay.
I feel like there's some interesting writing on the wall with that international title. I get what you're saying, because it's like then it would be a proper tag program. But I think it's very possible with the way Kenny loves to work Japan and stuff. Like I think it's very possible you have Kenny beating Takeshita eventually for that international title, because you got Okada with the Continental title, and if they have any shot at cleaning up some of these lineages, merging the two of them together, I think would be the call. But I understand where you're coming from. I think that would be nice for Mark Davis too. I hope that there's at least some dumb battle royal that he gets to be in or something. He definitely deserves to be on this card.
I just feel like, the best tag team against them would be fun, but I get why Takeshita's the guy. Don't get me wrong. I understand story-wise Takeshita makes sense. But if you're telling me there's a tag match with Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis is in the same faction,
those should be the guys. Yeah.
Yeah, like that. That's just.
Well, maybe he shouldn't have been such a big fucking loser today. So I heard that it would have been that if you could do the hand thing, but you can't. Not even close.
No.
Not even close.
That's
Star Trek. That's
Vader time.
That's Vader time.
That's right.
Well, if you wanted to hurt Ryan, you're not the only person, because the Hurt Syndicate shows up and they hurt people. They hurt everyone. Man, you want to talk about natural promos? MVP has just been hit after hit after hit since coming in. He has been so great on the mic. Kind of breaks my heart because he says what everyone's thinking of, like, hey, Private Party are great. They just came across the wrong people at the wrong time, which feels true from a booking perspective as well. But he's obviously saying it on the back of the faction that he leads. He says that they're heading out to the Super Bowl. But before that, he says, hold on to your gold, babies, because they're going to be challenging for more of it in the future. But they've got their tag titles and they're open for business. And then the first thought I had was Ryan's going to be so excited because the guns come out. Guns up, Atlanta. Good stuff. This is one of the rare things that is good about Austin and Colton having had a tag title run before. It gives them some credibility on the comeback here, which I very much actually do appreciate. But this is good. They're going to be the first challengers for you, it sounds like. And we get a little ass voice shut in here as well. But guns up, baby. I think this is a good program because I don't think the Guns lose anything by losing to the Hurt Syndicate in this at all. And I think it's great for them to come back into an important program, Ryan. Like, I feel like you got to back up the fact that they were in a really, really important trio. They were in a tag team that held the titles, like even when it felt like their booking was outpacing their ability, they were made to feel like a big deal. Them coming back here, I think, is the right call.
Up. First of all, the first place that Kate started to like the Gun Club, the Jericho Cruise.
It's true.
I liked them from Dark, but the Jericho Cruise was Kate's, and they were hilarious. 2, I really want someone to come out when they challenged the Hurt Syndicate to, do you really want to hurt me?
I think we're good on the 80s flops on the show.
No.
I think the Pointer Sisters was enough.
Whoa. I'm willing to accept my singing is not good, but that wasn't a flop. That was a very popular song.
It was, but I don't think it needs to be on a wrestling program in 2020.
Well, I disagree. 3, you're right. They won the titles before they were there, like quite that level. But by the time they got hurt, they were there. Like people were respecting them as a legitimately good tag team in AEW. So it all makes sense. Like obviously they didn't plan it that way, but it works really well because they're not coming back as like they got a really loud reaction. People were very into them return, and I know they got the ass boy chance, but that's just because it's very fun. So
yeah, that's not an insult anymore. Like that's not a troll, I don't think anymore, the way it was when it started. So I agree with you. The crowd was good all night, but they were really hot for this return. So
yeah, like they wanted them. So I love this. Obviously, I don't see them winning, but it is a great way to bring them back. It'll be interesting to see if they do anything with Switchblade.
Yeah, but they're all on the babyface side now, so it'll be if they neutralize in Australia, that would be a really nice way to keep Claudio and Pac out of the way. If the Guns came back to back them up, that would be good. And you're right, the Jericho Cruise was the first place I started to turn for the Guns because they were very, very funny. They were marking out as much as you and I were, and they were just very honest about like where they were and in their whole process. But Joe, do you like the Guns coming back in this spot? And how did you feel about MVP's part of this promo too? I felt like the sincerity broke my heart, but really, really worked for what he was trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I think MVP was just saying what we all have been saying in a non, wrestling world as far as, Private Party felt like they got done dirty, but it had to be done. And I'm glad they have addressed it in a way. And so that was nice. The Guns coming back was a nice little treat for this. I'm mixed on the fact that I hate to see another young tag team getting buried by the Hurt Business after they just went through Private Party. But like you said, having them at least been champions before gives them a little bit more validity and a little bit more, like you said, they can take the loss and not be hurt that bad by it.
Yeah.
I would have preferred maybe some other, if there was another more veteran tag team that could have been their first challenger first, but and then about the Ass Boy stuff. Like a part of me fantasy books that like Danhausen would help come and neutralize MVP on the outside.
Danhausen did just he and his wife had a baby Hausen, so I think he's on paternity leave, but he did come back at that ROH pay-per-view, so I'm hoping that we get to see him around more. But some good stuff, and I agree it's kind of a 6 1 half dozen the other of you don't want the other teams to get hurt because it feels like the tag division's so vulnerable, but you need the Hurt Business to lay in the hurt on people. But I gotta say, it does feel like the tag titles are infinitely more important than they've been in a long time being on the Hurt Syndicate already. Like it feels like there's just more of a cohesive effort there. So some good stuff. Some good stuff. Thank you to everybody in the chat hanging out with us. Please leave a thumbs up if you haven't already. Please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. We're gonna keep our numbers crawling up, and I gotta also just say hi, Jesse Ozog. Ryan's hatred knocked over my ring light. Can you believe that?
Oh yeah, Ryan did that. Ryan's already knocked over his stuff.
Oh my god. That's what happens when you poop your pants. You get in a cranky mood. But you know who doesn't put me in a cranky mood is Harley Cameron. Her and her Mercedes Monet puppet. There is something that this woman is doing every week to maximize her minutes. She has her first televised win, and I really, really like that Mercedes is... She's just in a different groove than she was. Like, ever since kind of the Statlander feud and we cleared out whatever was going on with Camille, she just stood on her shit here. She was like, oh, I remember my first televised win, and I remember my first title win when I was 23. Just good stuff. Good stuff. She's obviously not charmed by the puppet at all, like everybody else was, but Jesse Ozog saying in the chat, like, she's actually a good ventriloquist. She's good at everything, man. Like, it is so impressive, like, how quickly she's picked up on pro wrestling. She can sing, she can play guitar, the ventriloquism, she can model, she can serve looks, man. She's really, really quite an asset. I think everybody really liked her in QTV. She was the only thing that people liked about QTV. So it's so nice to see this, because I don't think there's anybody with an alley like hers in AEW. Like, it kind of started with the Outcast. She came out with the knife like a psychopath, but she's really, really, really grown into her own niche of being this character that one-ups everyone all the time and stuff. And for her to be on the Grand Slam card, I think it's going to be something truly special. Obviously, the handwriting is on the wall with Mercedes, but she says no. She denies the title shot too. I don't like that mirrors Moxley and what he's doing as well, but this one works for me, so I'm leaning into it. But the Mercedes Monet puppet was fantastic. Joe, what is the best thing in the world, and why is it Harley Cameron? Your thoughts?
There is nothing better. I think she is a national treasure in whatever country she's in, and the more Harley Cameron, the more peace it would bring to the world. I think that I love the fact that they're finding every way to use all her talents, whether it was her comedy initially. Now it's like, the ventriloquist, and then now she's doing concerts in the ring. I like the fact they're really giving her the opportunity and the time to highlight her vast skill set, and knowing how much Mercedes believes in Harley, and going into this program with her to help shine light on Harley's talents. I think it's just a great partnership between the two of them, and kind of says a lot about the work that Mercedes is doing as a champion in that division.
I agree. I feel like the past 4 or 5 months, it's like, this is why you paid Mercedes the big bucks, because you're seeing these incredible title matches, like with Chris Statlander and Hazuki and all the work she was, and Mina. They had a great match too. And then you're also getting things like she gave Anna Jay her best match, probably. It's not the best match I've ever seen, but it's Anna Jay's best match that I've seen. And you're probably going to see the same with Harley Cameron. And because she carries the cachet she does, she's just getting more screen time, right? So I agree with you. This is a delightful partnership. Harley's just so magnetic. She's so much fun and so easy to get behind. And she's also kind of just quietly turned babyface without there being any like, she's a babyface now. It's just, she's such a freaking crazy little goofball and everybody loves her. And so her sliding into the face role against Mercedes just works, because I think the way that Mercedes is also little sistering her works. But CEO, I think, stands for Cameron Executive Officer now. I think she's CEO. Man, you can't do hand gestures or dances, Ryan. I hate to.
I'm just all over the place.
You really are.
What were you doing there?
He was doing walk like an Egyptian, kind of. Yeah, like a.
No.
Man? What are you doing here?
I don't know what this is. This is just a dance.
Okay, stop dancing and give your thoughts.
Feels like you're at a wedding, and we're not.
I do what I want. I blanked.
Harley Cameron, Mercedes.
No, I had a specific thought I wanted to address, and now I remembered it. So you said that they're doing this same thing with Moxley, where Moxley won't accept challenges, but I didn't even pick up that they were both doing that. Like, they feel so different to me. because Mercedes is doing it specifically to someone who hadn't been winning and who's kind of silly, versus Mox doing it to legitimate challengers. So it just felt like a different thing.
I think I just picked up on it because I'm better at this than you.
No, you just like to nitpick, so it's a different thing. You know,
Astute.
Sour. Oh, sorry.
Where was this on your fun scale?
Oh, well, that's easy. Hold on.
You have a poop scale?
No, but I do have a PETA little scale, apparently.
I don't know if a poop scale is like a negative 1 out of 4 because it like you shit on it, or if it's like a 5 out of 4 because you've just lost control. But we'll find out someday.
I also like to point out, guys, if I had shat myself, I would have fully showered.
If
you're awful defensive.
You are really defensive. You also have your baseball cap on, so you very well could have showered.
No, I definitely didn't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would have fully showered.
It takes what, 30 seconds to dry that hair, please. Please. Well, I'll tell you who else was a little defensive.
No,
and that's
I got a
Hangman
comment. I got a comment. You cut me off because you guys hate me so much. I want to point out Renee played a vital role in this whole segment.
This whole episode. This whole episode she did, but yes.
But by grabbing Harley's hand when she's giving the middle finger, it's just one of the funniest things. Like, so, that is big sister energy. That is like, I'm looking out for you on this one.
She's both of them so delightful. So delightful. She works her ass off this episode too, because we actually go right backstage with her and Hangman. And she wants to know, like we all do, why Hangman is looking for Swerve, and he says it was a moment of weakness, don't ever ask again. And then she says, you seem to be in your feels a little bit about retiring CD, and he goes, no.
No.
And then Max Caster is off screen, and he says, let's wrap this up. He's got an interview to do. But he does say if you wanted to put Anthony Bowens or Billy Gunn in a neck brace, that would be all right. And Adam Page says, hey, what about you? You're sticking around here. Maybe somebody else backstage wants to catch these hands. So Hangman Page, I really liked him as a babyface. Everybody did. This heel run, infinitely more interesting to me. He's been so great, and it felt like he was going back to Swerve to start his redemption arc, and that he realized like he's not ready to repair that bridge yet. That's going to be down the line. Classic Western cowboy business happening, right? Like he has to Arthur Morgan his way to make friends with everybody, and Swerve has to be the last one. So I love that he just immediately reneged. I'll take it. I was going to ask Ryan, but he took his headphones out, so we'll start with
No,
Joe.
I have the other one. That one died.
Oh, okay.
I was laughing because you said Arthur Morgan, because that is your only Western reference.
Yes. I mean, I could say
that's-
John Wayne, but Arthur Morgan's my favorite.
He's your only, I think, at this point. Like,
He has the most extensive cowboy arc that I'm familiar with. Yeah.
that's fair. Yeah, they're doing something intricate with Hangman, and I'm really enjoying it. They're telling like a slow burn of a story, which is really the best Hangman stories are the ones that slow burn, where his character just develops over time. Like they don't rush you in, because it makes his feel very natural. So like he didn't become a heel right away. Like you could see him falling apart. We could follow this up with him chasing Max later, which was very, very funny to me. So like the whole thing just worked.
Agreed. Joe, your thoughts?
Yeah, I like the fact we're making Heyman as complicated as possible with his emotions, knowing that he was emo cowboy for so long, and he's sifting through his feelings as far as, you know, where his forgiveness tour begins, and him, like you said, him answering that, you know, that one word answer when they asked if he felt regret or something. It reminded me of like when someone would say like, oh, you like Billy, you like Susie. He's like, no, I don't. Shut up.
No.
We're not friends.
Exactly. It's like Ryan denying he pooped his pants. It's like, no, I didn't.
Exactly.
So,
well, since Ryan alluded to it and is
a
denying
little squeaker gets out, and then the world falls.
This is why he has to room alone when we hang out places. But since you kind of alluded to it, let's skip ahead to this MJF promo where he does his classic cut my music. He calls out geriatric Jeff Jarrett and says that AEW stands for all elite wrestling, not all elderly wrestling. He, one, cracked himself up with that joke, and two, was getting a ton of heel heat of note tonight. Like, this has been the most heat that MJF has gotten in a while. But Max Caster enters. He points over his shoulder, and Hangman's theme hits. I love the way this was all orchestrated. And MJF says, "Oh, we're for real now. You guys like cowboy shit?" And he says that... What does he say? Oh, Dustin Rhodes just interrupts. My apologies. He starts talking about talentless and worthless hacks, and Dustin Rhodes comes out. What a promo we get from Dustin Rhodes. He talks about the things that are off limits to dig into the past of, and I really like this. He references his own alcohol and drug use. He says that Max is not the devil. There's a reason that he is 55 and can still hang with everyone on the roster. He's a damn survivor. This was really, 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 really incredible. And MJF doing what we all, I think, thought was going to be closer to the direction of the Jeff Jarrett program, which is just say, man, all those drugs turned your brain into Swiss cheese if you think you can hang with MJF. But I think the big takeaways from this for me was what a promo by Dustin. Like, he really, really, really just came out with a house of fire, which was so much fun. And I love this little like weird interweaving of Max Caster, and the tease with Hangman Page and MJF continues to build really, really beautifully. I enjoyed this entire segment quite a bit. We'll start with Joe and both of his working headphones and his clean pants and pantaloons. What did you think of this kind of carousel of organized storylines that we've got going on in all this?
It's one of the things that AEW does well sometimes, is run a bunch of things together that kind of loosely connect. So when you have, Max Caster running in the ring to interrupt MJF, they have history. And then so that brings out, hey man, you have that whole tease for that setup coming down the line. I initially didn't understand Dustin's reason for coming out there. I thought maybe getting another old time veteran coming out here to I know he kind of had the Owen Hart tie, and but I like the fact that his promo and has so much honesty in it, and I think he tweeted not that long ago about his sobriety anniversary.
Yes, in the past couple weeks, yeah.
Yeah, that was nice. I mean, it kind of tied in with all that timing. And I thought he got the better of MJF in the promo battle there, and MJF kind of going after low-hanging fruit, figuratively and literally, with how it ended with him, taking shots at him being in the shadow of his dad and his brother, and then eventually kicking him in the balls.
Agreed. There was some really good stuff there, and I loved the "I'm better than you and you know it" thing, and MJF just being like, "You're out your damn mind" with that. But Diarrhea Ryan over there. Ryan. What Rhea. What do you...
He had diarrhea of the mouth now.
I mean, it didn't have to be diarrhea. It could have. Not gonna say it. Yes, MJF got a lot of heel heat. I think best MJF is, yes, he's always going for the cheap shots, which is part and parcel to his character. Like, he goes for the lowest hanging fruit, but he needs to be like he was tonight. He was more focused on an actual weakness rather than his generic insults. So ha
ha ha, you're fat, you're ugly. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Going for the fact that Jeff Jarrett is old and the world, whatever, that's an actual targeting thing, because that's what Jeff Jarrett's whole retirement run's about. But then the just randomness of Caster coming out, followed by Hangman, to build on a feud in which they've basically said nothing to each other. They've had like a few words, and that's been it. And they're clearly going to build to something bigger between the two of them, and I love it because they just keep doing it until something happens. It's a very fun way to build a feud. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about Dustin Rhodes coming out because it felt random, but then he made it not random.
Yeah, he sold me on it too. I was not initially into it, and then I was like, I see what's going on here. Yeah.
Yeah, like he made it work. And there is a fun story with MJF where like he's beating up legends. Like it's a very heel thing to do.
I also kind of like that it feels like the legends are coming after him to try and almost keep him in check. Like there's something fun about the aspect of they're all provoked by the shithead, right? That is fun. And I agree with you. There's a difference between a slow burn and just dragging something out, right? We've talked about that before on the show, like long-term storytelling versus dragged out storytelling. The ship in the night aspect between Hangman and MJF is really, really working because MJF is at the most genuine version of himself and Adam Page is at the most interesting version of himself. And we know he feels bad about retiring Christopher Daniels. We can see it, but he's denying it. And it's one of the most effective retirement payoffs I think we've gotten in a really long time in all of wrestling. So some good stuff with that. But now it's time to go to hell, boys, with the Hounds of Hell versus Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher. Holy shit, this was fun. This is what tag wrestling can be if you make it a priority on your show. I didn't want either team to lose. I knew which team was going to lose, but they looked great in their loss, and I would be hard-pressed to believe that they're not going to be tag champions sooner than later. I think you probably have a transitional babyface run from the Hurt Syndicate for a short time and then move it on to guys like this. But we're getting some real deal teams now between them and the Murder Machines and things like that. So this, I had a blast watching. This went through the commercial break and I was still really enthralled, which I think that's a good sign. Like if you've got me the whole way, this is fun as hell. So I really had a ton of fun with this. The in-ring was really, really stellar tonight. Kyle Fletcher is just unbelievable. And the Callis family is also working for me in a way that it hasn't before. I think Don Callis is clearer than he's ever been before on like what his mission is to be there. And the caliber of talent in it is just so fucking high. It's like almost hard to screw up. But I've even really liked Don Callis on commentary more than I have in the past because I feel like he, as a genuine performer, has so much clarity around what his goals are right now instead of just like, I'm there to get heat and be a shithead. He's been much more substantive on the call. So very, very much appreciate that. But as kind of you would predict here, you got Fletcher with the assisted brain buster for the win. This was a whole bunch of fun. I wish someone didn't have to lose, but I like definitive endings. And man, Hounds of Hell look like the real deal. Like they look like a team that you don't want to mess with. So Ryan, we'll start with you on this one. This was big boys beating the fuck out of each other. How did you feel about it?
Yeah, you had some big boys here. Because again, Fletcher's kind of surprised big boy. I like that it was a clean finish, but you did give us that moment of distraction by Okada, which is enough to, in the universe justify that the Hounds of Hell maybe are better than this loss dictates because something was working against them. Because that Okada Buddy Matthews interaction was hilarious. It was bitch, but
it's so good. So good.
So I like that because it wasn't directly related to the finisher because that would have been very annoying, but it's enough in the match where in the kayfabe world you'd be like, oh well, they're better than this loss gives them. And of course you had to build up to Takeshita and Fletcher going ahead of their match versus Ospreay and Omega, so they needed the win. But you're right, the Callis family is just hitting on a totally different level. They feel much more focused now. I don't know, like before it felt random, now it's like
They weren't aiming at anything.
Yeah.
They weren't.
And I think Takeshita as like the star is the smartest move they could have made.
He just is, man. He is. There's a reason that guy has 3 contracts right now.
Yeah.
My goodness, but we've got some more people in the chat. We got Second Lieutenant Colonel Photo over here. We got Pieces. We got Meet Enormous. I'm guessing the Fightful Post show is wrapped up as we get a few people coming over and hanging out with us. We are talking about some meaty tag match action, which was some fun shit to see tonight. I really, really liked this. I agree with you, Ryan. The Okada distraction made this a little bit more justifiable of a loss. But Joe, how did you feel? I feel like we had less shenanigans this week, so this doesn't bother me as much. I had a blast watching this.
No, I think that made perfect sense considering, one team had to lose, but you didn't want them to lose necessarily.
Super clean.
Yeah, super clean. So, and having, Brody take the pin made sense because, Buddy's going after Okada. So you got to keep him strong, right? So that all made sense to me. The one little nitpick I would have had was have the Callis family pick the win up quicker after the distraction.
That's fair.
Yeah, I thought they gave the House of Hell a little bit of a hope spot there after the distraction. Like maybe they'll overcome this. So I would have preferred to just get over right after that distraction, but minor nitpick. And other than that, I like what they're doing with Buddy. I like him as a singles guy. They kind of gave Brody a singles run for a while there in the C2 and things like that. So giving Buddy some time as a singles guy is cool. And I mean, I can watch him and Fletcher go at it like multiple times.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. All day. From my understanding too, Brody just adored backstage as well. And I think, this new page for Buddy Matthews is going to be very productive for him as well. Well, fellas, if you put Toni Storm and Mariah May next to each other, I would not think that they looked alike. Like I wouldn't be like, well, they're practically twins. But whatever the fuck they do in hair and makeup is unbelievable because Toni Storm is playing the part of Mariah May, and I love the level of playback that we're having with this. This is so much fun. Toni Storm letting Mariah May have a taste of her own medicine as Mariah Storm May takes on Queen Amanada in this. What sincerely a great performance by Toni Storm to play Mariah May. She did so many nuances that Mariah May carries. Mariah May on commentary for this. Fantastic. Her saying that she's missing 2 things or a pair of things absolutely popped me. Love what we're getting out of Mariah May. Like, I feel like the more mic time she's given, the better. We're getting to see her sense of humor shine through a little bit more. Kind of a bummer that it feels like her title reign probably is coming to an end, and I feel like she's just really settled into being a champion. Serena Deeb is watching in the back, so seems like they're picking up whatever they put down with her, Queen Amanada and her a while ago, but Amanada's great. She looks really good in this, but this was Mariah May Storm picking up the win, and I loved that even on the cover she did Mariah May's like sexy whatever the fuck. This was so much fun. This was just an incredible job by Toni Storm to be playing a lunatic playing Mariah May. Like this was extremely well done. They really made this was like 9 minutes long, and they made this count. This was fun. What did you think, Joe?
Oh, I loved them. I loved it. I thought the match was fun, but I was so distracted by Toni and Mariah May Storm. It took me out of the match a little bit because I was so focused on like the mannerisms, the look.
Crazy.
All the extensions falling out as the match went on.
Hysterical.
It was perfect. Like whether it was intended or not, it was just a nice little touch. So that kind of distracted me from the match itself. But I did like the fact that you said they had Serena Deeb watching, so it gave Queen Amanada, a good importance in the match and a focus as well. So, yeah, I'll be interested to see where Mariah goes. If she loses the title like we suspect, what she goes on to do.
Yeah, I think that's going to be interesting. I could see an effective heel versus heel program between Mercedes and her if she wanted to go after another title, because Mariah's got that Joshi flair to her, and Mercedes does really, really well with opponents like that. But Ryan, this was a 3.5 out of 4 funds for me. It's very close to being a 4 out of 4 funds. I just want to leave room, but you only gave it a 3. You only
No, I was showing yours.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm like your fucking face on these.
Because I know you like that face, but I think you like this one more.
Yeah, that one is.
That looks like you pooped his pants in that face.
Yeah,
that's me. I did something bad. Yep.
This one I have a secret.
Serving looks on the
this
fun
one,
scale.
yeah, maybe. This is where I poop my pants. 3 is where I poop my pants.
Yeah, like, oh no. But I'm assuming you gave this 4 out of 4 funds.
Yeah. Now I will say, I think Mariah in Tony cosplay looks more like Tony than Tony and Mariah cosplay look like Mariah.
I agree. Some of it is honestly just like body type, like that. That's
and well,
definitely
plus, I think the hat, the glasses, they all kind of shield the look of like
100%. The intentional. I'm pretty sure it was intentional. The intentionality of the wig falling out was so funny. Like, and I love that Mariah said it on commentary. She was like, "At least I at least fucking tried, man. When I was being Tony Storm, I gave it an effort." I thought was cute from her.
I also like though that Tony, when she was like at the end talking, was such an exaggerated version of Mariah. I loved it so much. Like it was nailing Mariah's words and kind of cadence, but in the most whiny, annoying way possible. It was hilarious. Like this whole thing just, I don't know who designed it, like who's planning this out, like, but they're doing a very good job.
The bar to define it, and this is still RJ City as far as I know, but like to be a lunatic that is playing Mariah May authentically during the match, and then to your point at the end, sarcastically, it's like that is a lot of layers to being a pro wrestler. Amanada also doing the MXM pose at one point in this had me in stitches. I forgot to mention that, but some good stuff there. We do get a couple of quick vignettes. We got Dustin Rhodes still chasing MJF backstage a little bit. He's still sticking around as MJF is continuing to be a thorn in his side. And then we also have our New York Minute. This one being live. I thought maybe the turn is going to happen here, but this does not give us what we want, unfortunately. But it does set up more between Hobbs and Big Bill. I was in stitches because I don't think this was intentional, but Big Bill was out of frame. They had like one of those, this is the inside of the camera frames where it had like just the little lines, and he was bigger than that. So these New York Minutes are what they are. I was just hoping we'd actually get the turn because this one was live, and I was like, oh shit, maybe we're actually going to do something. We didn't. I'll leave it up to you guys if you want to chime in on that at all.
Listen, Hobbs rules. I'll take Hobbs and Big Bill continuing to fight. That's a lot of fun when they were looking at each other across the ring when they were each outside and they each chokeslammed somebody. Very funny to me. Also, this seems like their attempt to, I know they lost on Collision, but they do at least seem to want to use the Outrunners again. And maybe an attempt to build them back into a legitimate like contender. So I will take that for what it is.
That is fair. That is fair. We are coming down to the main event, guys. Please leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. We have some more people that have filtered in since we last asked you to do that, but it really does help us out quite a bit. We're going to tell you all about our t-shirts in a little bit as well, but not before we talk about this really, really fun main event. And a really well-built program. I gotta say, like, every time they've given this a segment, it has been something that has excelled, and it's led to this really, really good stuff. This was largely focused around the embassy jacket, which is something that who is it, Jimmy Rave and a couple others have had, but that Swerve has worn before. It means a lot to Nana. They really, really emphasized that. And this match really, 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 really showed out. Like, this is what you want. And this is the first time that they've really like had a TV overrun that I was like, it was worth it. Because this went 13:30. It didn't feel too long. It didn't feel too short. It felt like the rest of this episode didn't have me going through it saying you could have cut 5 minutes there, you could have cut 3 minutes there to make this fit. Like, this one felt worth it, and Ricochet wins. He gets the low blow, the spirit gun. Big W. Big W on this, and I like that we had like a definitive ending, and I think it adds some intrigue into the relationship of Nana and Swerve, because this is something that meant a lot to Nana, right? So some really good stuff here. Some really, really good stuff there. You knew these two in the ring were going to show out between the familiarity, the mix in styles, and how great they are. But this is kind of the stuff that you wanted to see from Ricochet when he first came over. I did not know his character could evolve into something so fun. I didn't know he had this in him, but unhinged, scissor-wielding Professor Ricochet is extremely funny to me. I had a blast. I had a blast with this main event, and this is one of the first episodes where it felt like, yeah, the overrun was worth it. The overrun was worth it. Joe, what did you think of our main event?
It was a lot more main events than I thought we were going to get, knowing how close we were to the top of the hour. And then with Ricochet coming from behind and attacking him, I thought it was going to be like not a match, just a beatdown. So I was pleasantly surprised we actually got a match and with the overrun. And yeah, Ricochet looked great. His flying knee and his suddenness. It was fun to watch him be so physical, besides doing all of the flips and stuff that he can do. And I'm glad that we got the winner with Ricochet, and it's kind of continue this feud. It was a nice, different way to block the stomp.
Agreed. Yeah, that was really cool.
It was a smart way to do it. Something we haven't seen yet in AEW. And I'm curious with now that he stole the jacket, knowing that he has a propensity of scissors, is he going to just do a vignette of him cutting the jacket? And if so, then I do want Nana to come back at him with the comical, large scissors that you cut ribbons with. I want him to come at Ricochet with them.
The chat pointing out specifically one LT photo, not two LT photo, very different people, saying that Swerve was 21-1 coming into this. That's good. That's good. You want that. These losses should mean a lot coming from that. And the one loss was the biggest loss of all, right? If we're dating back to last year. So agree with you on that. I think the leverage of having the jacket is as effective as him cutting it up, because this feels like it's going for another one. But part of what we were missing in the stretches where we were less keen on Dynamite was we weren't getting matches that felt important on television. Like, we weren't really getting title defenses. We definitely weren't getting stuff with emotional ties. It just felt like set up to pay-per-views, which is a very WWE rhythm that AEW didn't used to fall into. But then they expanded to 10 pay-per-views a year, so it kind of made sense. Getting this, I don't think this was the blow off, but getting something that felt like it really escalated a feud as a way to close a show with an overrun is the kind of shit I want to see on Wednesday nights. So, Ryan, are you in the same camp as us? I thought this was great.
Oh, this match was incredible. And I'm just agreeing with your point that we used to get a lot of important matches on Dynamite, and it seemed to have lessened, and they really need to kick that out. And part of that, again, I won't go on a rant, is just using of talent. You don't always need to designate your... First of all, it would be nice if they just shortened their pay-per-views a little bit, So then just designate certain feuds that won't hit pay-per-view, but they'll be your big TV feuds, so that you can have it be like, yes, this won't, like Swerve and Ricochet would likely be on a pay-per-view because it's Swerve and Ricochet, but other examples could be out there where it's like Buddy versus Okada, one that's a lot of fun and you can do over several weeks, but it does not have to be on pay-per-view. Is huge. So I like that a lot. So the question I have to, so the match is incredible and the ending was great. I love that. Yes, it was a low blow, but it was unintentional and it was almost like a reversal of the stomp. So like it worked really well. It was not your typical low blow, but it gives Swerve the out of like, you hit an illegal move by fluke, but you hit it. But my question is, which is harder? The ring apron or the barrier?
I mean, the joke of it is, in a properly built ring, the apron shouldn't be that much harder.
But we know it's the hardest part of the ring. So which is harder?
I'm going to say the barrier.
Okay.
If it's properly built.
I'm still shocked. Joe, do you agree?
Well, okay, I can't pick the steel post.
No, it's the hardest part of the ring versus the barrier, because that's where Swerve powerbomb Ricochet in an amazingly aimed powerbomb. Because I would have hit him into the stands.
Yeah, I guess barricade. I don't know.
It's a toss-up.
It really is.
It's a toss-up.
Yeah. Okay, fair. I just had to ask.
It's a toss-up. The angle, I think, plays a big part in this. But it's a question that requires further examining from someone more qualified, probably a PhD. But I agree with everything you said, and the TV big matches are something that feels right. One thing when they switched to like 10 pay-per-views a year that they stopped was like we got less St. Patrick Day Slam and Quake by the Lake. We got way less of those, which is where those free TV feuds used to either escalate or blow off, which is understandable because they expanded very quickly. But I think this is a much better rhythm that we're seeing so far in early 2025. And I think that's probably helping this live attendance as well start to kick back up. But I don't know what the hardest part of the ring is, Ryan, but I know the hardest part of my Wednesday nights is saying goodbye to you fellas as we close out the show. I got less time with Ryan today because he spilled his mango juice. It's heartbreaking. An hour and a half. We're out of here. But before we go, let me tell you, we're not going to get out of here without shilling some merch at you guys. We got 4 t-shirts on ProWrestlingTees.com that you can pick up right now. Look at these beautiful designs. Have you ever seen such a beautiful thing every week when you tune in or as the background of our show? Of course you have. But what you might not know is the 2 on the right are double-sided. So check those out. Coy Stalling saying, am I the only one that loves the guns theme? No, I actually really like it too. I really like it. Thanks for popping in here as we are wrapping up. But head over to Pro Wrestling Tees. I'm sure they are going to have like a Valentine's Day sale, and you're going to be like, oh, I am just $21.99 short of the shipping charges. Well, pick up a t-shirt, beat those shipping charges, hang out, support us, support women, because I'm on here in a time where we need your support more than ever. We do appreciate those of you who have grabbed a shirt. So we are going to get out of here, though, because we don't want you to wait to go buy a Mark Order t-shirt. But before we do, Ryan, you're making things up about historic events, and you're writing them in a blog called Here for History. It should be in quotes when you say history, because we know it's just your take on events. But sincerely, you do a great job. I'm not like a history buff, but I keep up with it, and it's some really good stuff. It's accessible. It's not dry. It doesn't feel like you're watching the History Channel with your dad or anything. I'm not a history gal, but Ryan does a good job. It's very accessible and easy to read. Here for History. Plug your shit.
First of all, watching the History Channel back in the day was great. Nowadays, there's no history. That's my old man's, yelling at a cloud take.
Is it a bunch of ancient aliens still? Is it like
Yeah, like I can't. That's just
The
not my thing.
purists, the pure stuff, ancient aliens.
Yeah. I will also say before I plug, apparently in our chat, Pario magazine is going to Grand Slam, so have fun.
Jamie! Jamie's the best.
That's Jamie?
Yeah, follow Pario magazine and also Jamie Epps. He is my link to one of my links to the Australian independent scene. He does great work. I was lucky enough to be interviewed by him, and he's just a wonderful fella that does really wonderful work. So I'm sure he's still waiting on his press credentials if it's like everybody else that I've heard about in Australia who's waiting to find out if they're going. But support him. He's wonderful. Yeah, we can continue plugging our shit.
So I'm very happy that he gets to go to Grand Slam because that's awesome.
Hell yeah.
But yes, you can follow me. You can follow me on our socials, which is at Mark Order Pod across the board. You can follow my history blog that Kate plugged, but even though she said it was fake history, hereforhistory.com. I'm sure I'll be covering the great non-shitting scandal of 2025. Or on socials at _ here for history on Twitter and at here for history everywhere else. And away we go.
And away we go to Joe.
Well, you can find me on social medias at _Asian Joe. I still owe people a cereal review. I think I talked about the Friends cereal last week. I had people in the chat ask me about Bluey cereal. I have no idea what that tastes like. Imagine it probably tastes like my hoodie.
Of course, obviously.
So, but yeah, you can find the link to that blog in my bio on my social media.
You can find me at Miss Kate Fabe on social media and on Fightful and Fightful Select, where I got a raise. So now I am Big Money Kate over at Fightful. I'm sure I'll be retiring soon off of that. Follow me at Miss Kate Fabe. I'm on Fightful main channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday doing your NXT, ROH for some reason, and SmackDown post shows. Raw and pay-per-views on FightfulSelect.com Mondays and whenever there's pay-per-views. So check that out. And Wednesdays, of course, whenever I can be, whenever I'm not filling it over there. Right here at the Mark Order Podcast, where we chop it up every Wednesday. 2 weeks in a row, we've had a full house. My God. But we are going to get out of here, and we are going to say goodbye and good night.
So put the outro overlay on. And then I hit the shout.
This concludes the Mark Order Podcast. We now return you to your